Oh, well, what's the day should be back? 3 minutes. That looks like
Yeah. Okay.
he ought to
That
be
was
under.
just
I just got him today. He was supposed to work in legal, actually. Number of citations. Love it. Yeah.
Somebody left their jump drive.
Oh, Samantha. Probably Michael Jens or Joe. Might be clerk's office. The jump drive?
Jump drive. This is community. Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, 5.20. When he walked in, that was perfect.
So you excited?
Oh, yeah.
So you want to leave us like that?
That's the hope.
So she's going to relocate?
Yeah, she got a year left on her contract. She likes her hair. She just got to find something that she would want to.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. So that's
Things are growing like that. You just never know when it's a partnership. Is your dad excited to have you soon?
well, I think that knowing
They tell you what to do, how to plan.
I don't know if we can go to someone to do it. That lot belongs to developers.
I thought Walmart.
Yeah, she may be Walmart
And you know, that's one of the proposals that I was this is what we're doing. This is where she will find something that will make it all innovation and what's happening. She'll find something in that communication area. Kind of like,
maybe
came back to
should be.
Junior member?
All rise. The Monday, June 13th, 2016 Common Council meeting is now in session. Before we start invocation, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those from Orlando, also those in our local area, region, city, state, and country. Thank you. Our invocation will be by Karen White.
I ask that you bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you this day. We thank you for who you are. We pray for peace and understanding. We pray that the work that we do for this common council, that will be for the betterment of the citizens who have elected us to do so. In your name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's follow the roll call, please.
President Tim Scott.
Present.
Councilmember Preston. Here. Randy Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Broughton. Here. Dr. Varner.
Present.
Vice President Davis.
Present.
Mr. Vorty.
Present.
Mr. Furlick.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Report on subcommittee minutes, please.
Report of Subcommittee on Minutes. To the Common Council of the City of South Bend. The subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the May 23rd, 2016 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Motion to accept?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Under special business, 1655, just a quick announcement. It looks like Mr. Kelly, team is not here.
Yeah, I don't see the team, and I did just get an email from the coach saying that she is with her son at the hospital, so she wanted me to let them know in case some of them show up. But she emailed them also, so perhaps they thought then they want to be here. She copied me on that one also.
Perhaps it
So,
would be best if they do arrive, we can hear it at a later time. in the-
Under unfinished business?
postpone, that would be great.
Okay,
Do you
thank
need
you.
any sort of
Thank you.
motion?
At that time to hear it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Moving on, reports from city offices, we have none. No, we do not have anybody from the mayor's office at this point. Motion to rise to the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Take that anyway.
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the meeting where the full council meets as a committee. During each bill, the public will have an opportunity to speak. You will be limited to 5 minutes. We will ask for those speaking in favor and then those speaking in opposition. We will start by asking the clerk to read Bill 2116, please.
Bill 2116, public hearing on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 803 West Washington Street, Councilman District Number 1 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, the Zoning and Organization Committee met this afternoon, and will bring this bill to you with a favorable report.
Thank you. Is there a presenter?
Corliss, if you
Oh, yeah.
would entertain a motion to accept the substitute bill and file with the city clerk.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
And then if you would then amend the substitute bill by changing current section 2 to become section 3. New section 2 to read as follows. This ordinance is subject to the execution and recording of written commitments set forth in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and included herein by reference.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Presenter, please.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Chappius of the Area Planning Commission, with offices located on the 11th floor of this building. The property before you this evening is 803 West Washington Street, also known as the former Kaiser House. The petition is brought by the Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana, seeking a rezoning of the property from MF1 Urban Corridor Multifamily District to MU Mixed Use District. This is a view of the site. It's currently undergoing some pretty extensive exterior and interior renovations. The existing curb cuts here that are on Washington Street would be eliminated in exchange for a new curb cut located, well, sorry, I'm having some trouble with the pointer, but it'd be approximately where that silver car is located, so the curb cut would come off of MLK instead. The petitioner did get approval from the Department of Public Works to locate their curb cut there, there are also written commitments associated with the property. The commitments address issues of maximum number of residential units on the property, which would limit them at 3 units. The commitments also require that the property maintain an agreement with the History Museum to the south which would allow for overflow parking if ever needed on the site. At this point, they're proposing that in addition to the 3 residential units, the rest of the building be used for an art gallery or meeting space, as well as the offices of the Indiana Landmarks here in South Bend. This comes to with a favorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission, subject to the written commitments, and at this time I can take any questions.
Great. Actually, is there anyone here to present? And then we'll take questions after the presenter. Thanks, Tom.
Yes, Greg Keel with Keel Architecture and Planning, studio located at 1126 Lincoln Way East in South Bend, Indiana. I'm here along with Todd Zeiger. Todd is the Northern Indiana Director of Indiana Landmarks, and our office developed the site plan and the application for the zoning, as well as the requested application for the curb cut. At the last committee meeting prior to the meeting this afternoon, engineering had requested a traffic study, and between then and today, we had submitted that traffic study and provided that as per their request based upon the Area Plan Commission variances that were approved at the Area Plan Commission meeting most recent. At the committee meeting, there was a question about sight lines, and I know that at the presentation we didn't have the section cuts through the drive, but I have hard copy that I'd like to share with the members of the council if possible.
Sure. And please just hand those to the clerk. Thank you.
In addition to, I think, making the access to the property safer by providing a new curb cut on the east side of the lot line, accessing from Martin Luther King Drive, 13 parking spaces between the main building and the carriage house, it will eliminate the curb cuts on the south side of the property, which there are 2, one right on the corner, which is really sort of untenable and not safe at all, and another one further west that sort of shares a cut with Mr. Bodner's insurance agency to the west. The point of note with clarification with the section cuts is it does show that we did study the sight lines. You can see that we're showing a vehicle in the approach area that would address sight lines for exiting traffic as one would go northbound or southbound Martin Luther King Drive. We worked with engineering department to verify tree locations and other locations of things like signage so that sight line and the grades as one approaches from the parking and exiting, and then likewise incoming parking traffic onto the drive, we think has been addressed and has been signed off by engineering. I think Todd would like to make a few additional comments. Sure.
Thank you. Todd Zeiger, Director of the Northern Regional Office for Indiana Landmarks offices at 402 West Washington, and I won't elaborate a whole lot more other than our goal on this is to eliminate the 2 really dangerous drives on Washington Street and then return that space to green space. Currently, it's just all pavement, and it doesn't fit in very well with the neighborhood. We think we can green the front, remove that parking to the rear of the property, and nestle it in behind the house and the carriage house, make this property fit much better than it has for many decades now, and put that entrance in the back, as Greg has indicated. Our offices will be located at this site. We'll be relocating from our current offices down the street at 402, and then using this as a mixed use if you approve the zoning this evening. I'm glad to answer any questions that you have about our plans or specifics that we presented to you tonight.
Any questions from council for the presenter or petitioner? Seeing none, we'll move to the public portion. Thank you. Those wishing to speak in favor, if you'd please come to the podium now. And you have 5 minutes. Each, please state your name and address and share with us your thoughts.
This is Noreen Dean Moran. I'm president of the Near West Side Neighborhood Organization, in which the building lies and the property. Excuse me. At our previous neighborhood meeting, we voted unanimously in favor of this. We have received very detailed presentation by Todd Zeiger. We have discussed the situation. We are satisfied now with some of the possibilities of there being too many parking spaces, and not enough parking spaces, and so forth. So just very briefly, we are in favor and understand that Landmarks has the ability to make this into an appropriate building for our National Historic District neighborhood, and we are very much in favor of it.
Hi, I'm Alicia Fiesel, the Executive Director of the Historic Preservation Commission of South Bend and St. Joseph County, with offices at 125 South Lafayette Boulevard. And I'm here today to say that the Preservation Commission is currently undergoing a process to have the building at 803 West Washington designated as a local historic landmark, and that's based on its significance historically and architecturally. We're going through that process today, and you'll see that later on your agenda. So just to reiterate a letter that I sent on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission on April 20th of this year, that a rezoning to a mixed-use district would not pose any conflict with the local historic district landmark designation zoning overlay, nor would the reduction of required parking from 30 spaces to 13. So we think that the rezoning of 803 West Washington would be beneficial to the property and the neighborhood. Thank you.
I'm Andrew Udak. I live at 121 South Chapin Street, downtown South Bend, 46601. I originally spoke on this particular bill before the Area Plan Commission a few weeks ago, voicing two concerns, as I live very close to the subject property. And there were two that are of great value to everyone that lives there. One is parking, and the second is the limitation of residential dwelling units on the premises. For those of you who are familiar with the property, you're I'm sure well aware that under the previous owner, or two owners ago, it was a problem property. As many as 14 to 15 apartments. There was drug traffic. It was an eyesore, and I think this property is headed to a much, much brighter future now, thanks to Landmark's efforts. The two concerns that the neighbors had in my part of the street have been completely addressed. In the file today, and as I mentioned earlier, is a written commitment to secure spillover parking using the History Museum parking, and secondly, limiting the number of residential dwelling units to no more than 3 on the property. And on behalf of the neighbors, I do wish to thank Mr. Zeiger, being a great neighbor. I know, as I said before, this is a mammoth project, probably greater than anyone anticipated the last couple of months, and there's a lot of work to do, but I think this will really turn out to be a bright spot in the neighborhood, and I thank all of you for your support, and I wish everyone the best of luck on all of this. Thank you.
Jim Bogner, 807 West Washington Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46601. Probably more than most, I have been in front of all of you. I have a couple of points I want to make this evening. First of all, obviously I support this bill. Having been next to this property for 55 of my 57 years, most of what everyone has told you has been accurate. As you know, I've bothered each and every one of you over the last decade. Landmarks has chosen to be a good steward. They have answered issues of a curb cut. They have answered issues about apartments and limiting them. Their intention is to return this as best as it can be, both inside and out, to what Mr. Kaiser, one of our founders of this city, wanted. I think it will be a very positive for the neighborhood. And I may also add, local jobs working on this project, which I think has been very key, especially as we move to our next 150 years. I also would like to pass along a couple of thank yous. First of all, to Councilperson Davis and the committee. You have always been extremely receptive to concerns and to the neighborhood. We have worked together on other issues. I'm grateful. To President Tim Scott, who inherited this particular area in a rezoning type of a situation. And I also would like to mention County Council President Raphael Morton. These two have cared very much about this property, and I think the preservation of our history is something that we can all be very proud of, And I'd like to leave you with one thought. When we preserve our history, it is what takes a city and makes it a community. And that's part of what we're doing here today. We're showing respect for our history, and we're understanding that while we're a city, we're also a community. And I want to just thank all of you very much for your support this evening.
If no one else is wishing to speak in favor, we will now take those in opposition. Again, please state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes to speak. Once again, anyone in opposition?
My name's Philip Blaine, 739 West Washington Street. I have roots going back 100 years. I've been here before. You guys understand that. Everything that you talk about is great. It's all thumbs up. I love it. I appreciate y'all coming out here for me because I'm the one that's directly affected by it. 24 hours, 7 days a week. The only information I've gotten is what I've been able to pull out of their hands. I believe you had asked them to come meet with me after the past meeting. I literally had to go to their doorstep and ring the doorbell because they hide behind a locked door. My door's open. Music's on. Come on over. It's going to benefit me in the long run, and I'm glad to see how this process goes because I've been looking to have mine switched to mixed use for 15 years. So bless you all and thank you.
Seeing no one else in opposition, the public portion is now closed. Council, if you'd like to have an opportunity for rebuttal, you're welcome to.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I did meet with Mr. Blaine this afternoon for about a half an hour following our meeting with the committee to address his concerns. We agreed to make some changes to the site, clean it up in the morning as far as a couple of things and move to John. So I did meet with him. Yeah, my office door was locked. It was after 5. And so I was on my way down to see him. But I did reach out. We met for about a half an hour and had a conversation. And I did my best to have that conversation. So I'm glad to answer any questions you have, but we did reach out.
Thank you. Any comments from council, or what is your recommendation? Yes, Tim?
Just a comment before any recommendation. I want to first thank presenting petitioners, area plan, HBC, the neighbors, and also this council for delaying this 2 weeks, actually 3 weeks, because I was ill. This is in my district. I want to appreciate and thank everybody working together to communicate, work through any of the issues that came before us on this house, and it will be a landmark for a long time.
Great. Is there a recommendation?
I move for a favorable recommendation of the substitute bill as amended.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. With that, I will entertain a motion to resolve from the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Full council is now back in session. Clerk Fowler, would you please read third reading of 2116?
Third reading on a bill, 2116. Third reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 803 West Washington Street, Council-managed District Number 1 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
A motion to amend as it was in committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Motion for passage?
Second. Ms. Fowler?
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Randy Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden? Aye. Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Vorty?
Aye.
Mr. Furlick?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
President Tim Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. We move to resolution 1649, please.
1649, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 2319 Lincoln Way West.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Yes, ZNA met this afternoon. Our committee did, and we bring this to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Presenter, please. Report. Sorry.
Ioka Pake, Zoning and Business Services Administrator with the Building Department at 125 Lafayette, Suite 100. This special exception comes to you with approval from the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, and it's also, they had a variance for parking that was based on them getting approval for this, and also having a letter from the adjacent landowner for parking. A point of clarification from this afternoon's committee meeting, there are two properties behind these properties. I don't know, don't have a map, but just that black line at the top, there are two lots back there, and they're actually owned by the person who owns the Metro PCS building, and that is where the parking is meant to be, and it's adequate both for Metro PCS as well as the smoke shop.
Thank you. Council members, any questions at this time? Seeing none. Do you have a presenter?
There he is.
There he is. Come on up, give us a brief synopsis of your program.
A lot of experience today.
Yeah, name and address first.
Good evening, I'm Christopher Stroller, 27 North Johnson Street. I am going to be a worker for the Smoke Palace. So I'm really excited. Randy Kinsey and I have sat down, argued, talked about this place, and being a former resident of the area 10 years ago, actually opening Family Dollar, that's right down Lincoln Way and Olive. I'm pretty much a well-known face in the area, and now 10 years later residing on Johnson Street with Mom again. I'm back, so I've gotten to see the ups, the downs, the progress of the community. And keeping that in mind and busting with him, I wanted him to present something and get us into a type of smoke shop that actually represents the redevelopment of the community. And I think that would be a great first, kind of start in that area, and keeping with the programs, the developments, for making that Lincoln Way Strip look commercial, shoppable, and something that the community can be proud of. So, really excited. We're looking forward to keeping the tax law, the tax laws, the cigarette laws, keeping the area clean and just having something that we can stand by and be proud of. So, again, I hope everything goes through. And again, you put me in this predicament, unprepared, but I'll deal with it.
Thank you.
Just one item for the record, sir. The landlord and the owner.
So, yeah, the landlord and the owner are the same individual.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on, Bob, you're right there. You're doing great.
Okay.
Council, is there any questions for the presenter? Nope. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Now we'll open up to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1649? Please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1649, please come to the podium. Again, seeing no one, we'll turn back to council.
Move for the adoption of Bill 16-49.
Second. Ms. Fowler.
Randy Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Vorty.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
President Tim Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 1651, please.
1651, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 700 West Ireland Road.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, the Zoning Annexation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring Bill 1651 to the full council with a favorable report.
Thank you. Report from Area Plan, please.
Ioka Pake with Zoning and Business Services Administrator with the Building Department at 125 Lafayette, Suite 100. This application also comes with a favorable recommendation from the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. It's for a special exception on the Walmart parking lot adjacent to Gates Toyota to use it for car sales, which is a special exception in the CV district. They've been doing this for a few years now, and it was caught this year. The state's been requiring some additional approvals, and we caught that they weren't doing it within the ordinance regulations, and now with the approval of this, they will be.
Thank you. Petitioner, would you come up and give your name and address and a brief statement?
My name is Clint Emberton, 714 Dice Court, South Bend, Indiana, 46614. I'm the general sales manager of Gates Automotive Group. As Ms. Peg mentioned, we have been holding this event for a few years, and this year we ran into a small problem when we applied for a tent permit, so now we want to get this corrected the right way. So this is why we're here today, and we have gone through the process. I do want to say we've held these types of events in the city of Mishawaka on Simon Properties for the last 5 years. We've held over 15 of these events, and the 2016 staff report there reported that, and I quote, "There have been no problems reported whatsoever to the city of Mishawaka, to Simon Properties, or to our office." So we're very proud of that record. We worked very hard to comply in all areas, and we would continue to do so. I also want to give a special thanks to Ms. Peg, who has helped us through this process, and Ms. Henry with the city as well, has helped us negotiate this process, and we appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you. We'll open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1651, please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1561, please come to the podium. Again, seeing no one, turn it back to council.
Motion for adoption?
Second. Ms. Fowler?
Councilmember Broughton? Aye. Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Vorty?
Aye.
Mr. Furley?
Aye.
Councilmember White? Aye. Councilmember Preston? Aye. Randy Kelly?
Aye.
President Tim Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 1654, please.
1654, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, accepting and confirming a resolution of the South Bend Redevelopment Commission determining that the tax increment for Erskine Village to be collected in the year of 2017 may be allocated to respective taxing units and other related matters.
Thank you. Committee report.
Community investments _ favorable.
Thank you. Ms. Leonard.
Hello, I'm Beth Leonard. I'm with the Department of Community Investment and with offices on the 14th floor of this building. The resolution before you will allow us to release the increment for Erskine Village. As you know, the reason that TIF was set up was exclusively for the payment of bonds, and we have enough cash to pay those bonds, so we don't need to take any more money from the TIF. And we can't pay them off until February of 17, at which time we plan to pay them off and hopefully end up closing this TIF. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Council, any questions? Seeing none. Open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward on 1654. Seeing none. Anyone speaking against 1654, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll turn it back to council.
Motion for adoption?
Second. Ms. Fowler?
Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Vorty?
Aye.
Mr. Furley?
Aye.
Councilmember White? Aye. Councilmember Preston? Aye. Randy Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Broughton? Aye. President Tim Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. First readings. Kathy, we need a motion on the Scribner's error?
You just, for the record, there was a Scribner's error in Bill 2616, the title, and the clerk will read the corrected version of it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Fowler?
An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 18, Article 1, Section 18-15 of the South Bend Municipal Code to assure sidewalk accessibility for persons with disabilities near Sidewalk Cafes.
No, there's no sub, right?
No.
Okay, all right. Entertain a motion to send this to Public Works and Property Vacations for 6/27.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. 2716, please.
2716, first reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending zoning ordinance and establishing historic landmark status for the structure and real property known as the Kaiser House and located at 803 West Washington in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Move we send this 2716 to Zoning Annexation Committee for 627.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 2816, please.
2816, first reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for a property located at 1311 North Ironwood Drive, South Bend, Indiana, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I believe that will go to Area Plan Commission, Zoning Annexation for 725.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 2916, please.
2916, first reading on an ordinance to vacate the following described property. Alley vacation, First North-South Alley from Sample to Gargis Street between Franklin Street and Lafayette Boulevard, and the First East-West Alley from Franklin Street to Lafayette Boulevard between Sample and Gargis Street from South Bend, Indiana.
I believe it's Public Works and Property Vacation for 627 on the, for 2916.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 3016.
3016, first reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending sections of Chapter 9, Article 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code to address ambulance/medical service fees.
Public safety.
Health and Public Safety, 3016 goes to Health and Public Safety for 627.
Second.
And I don't have-
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 3116.
3116, first reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 314 and 318 St. Peter Street, 401 Notre Dame Avenue, and 325 Francis Street, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I'll entertain a motion to send this to Area Plan and ZNA for 725.
Second.
So moved.
I'll be prepared. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. At this time, we'll move down to finished business. Is our Rocketeers here?
Or not?
I would entertain a motion to send that to the next meeting for 627.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Anything from new business?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I would like to request that we can hear either in a Public Works Committee on the 27th, an update from Eric Corva. I reached out to him regarding the issues of sidewalks. I know in several of our districts, we have the city fixing up different sidewalks, and then right next to it, we ask people to do the 50/50 program. And I know Ronnie's here to talk about that, the privilege of the floor. And so, I just want him to update us more about how that's going on.
627?
Sir? Yeah. Yeah.
Jim's going to be here anyway.
Okay.
He should be here.
What's that?
Just have the sidewalks, an update regarding sidewalks.
Sure. That's great.
Cool, I appreciate it.
Any other new business? I have one item that I mentioned earlier, the informal. Myself, President Ron Benecki of Mishawaka, the City Council, President Raphael Morton of the County Council have agreed to 3 meetings regarding the food and beverage tax resolutions that all 3 entities had proposed and passed. We will have a press announcement on this for June 29th, July 27th, and August 31st. We do have a possible conflict on the August 21st or 31st with budget hearings, but the idea is to present information on food and beverage taxes, also get input on those for those 3 meetings. It is a joint public meetings between the 3 councils. All the council members are welcome, as well as the public. It'll be at the Century Center, and there'll be more details, I'm sure, in your South Bend Tribune. So any other new business?
We'd just like to add to the public a share that we will start our budget hearing process. If you would go online, you'll be able to see the schedule. There's 7 public budget hearings that we'll be hosting, as well as 1 within the community. That date will be set hopefully by next week, so that you'll have all the information. So there's 7 public budget hearings that will be scheduled starting in August through September.
Okay, thank you. Vice President Alvarado.
Lastly, you probably have noticed around the city, new bus shelters.
Yes.
And so, the 10, and those have been working with Transpo, and putting those up, so they're all up, they're in different locations all over the city, with more to come. So, we are very proud to see that, and it's been something, so I hope you are enjoying the different bus shelters. I know they're all up in the Western Avenue, some other spots that they've needed them. So, if you're needing one in your area, on a particular street, please send me an email so I can advocate for it. So think about some areas in your streets that we need a bus shelter for people, especially when it rains and when it snows, or near a store like a Martin's or whatever. Just let us know and send me an email and I'll forward it over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business? No? Seeing none, we'll turn to the privilege of the floor. This is where individuals wish to address the council must state their name and residential address. Individuals are limited to 3 minutes only. The maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting is 30 minutes. Individuals may address only issues over which council has jurisdiction. Individuals shall not be permitted to address any topics the council has heard previously on the agenda. As President of the Common Council, we may assign topics raised to individuals during the privilege of the floor to the appropriate council member, and/or request city clerk to contact either city administration to review comments. Topics assigned shall be responded to in regularly scheduled Common Council meeting. You have 3 minutes. I ask Councilman Gavin Furlick to keep time. When you're ready, Gavin, we'll start.
I am ready.
Go ahead, name and address.
Jesse Davis, 210 Toll Avenue, Mishawaka, Indiana. I think all these other folks that came up here to the podium disobeyed your rules. They didn't give their residential addresses, nor did they sign them on your sheet. They said they work on the 11th floor and they have offices. So if you're going to make us play by these rules, everybody should play by these rules, Mr. Scott. I'm here tonight to address this letter that you sent me, where you're removing the privilege of the floor form because you don't think it's anything that really is necessary. It's very necessary. Everyone I spoke to who read your pompous-ass letter you sent me said exactly the same thing. That's a citizen's only way to document a paper trail of what we came here to you people with. It's the only way that we can document any type of evidence that we bring here to you folks. I've brought you gigabytes worth of photographs, videos, documentation, which when I give it to you along with your privilege of a floor form, which Mr. Dieter made, that helped us a lot because guess what? It went into public record. That's our only way. We can't go online and find half the minutes. And then we can only see the verbiage of what someone might have said with an issue they brought to you. We can't see any of the evidence they brought you unless we go to the clerk's office and it's there. Without the privilege of the floor form, we don't have any way to submit that to you. So I'm hoping that the rest of the council members up here will look into that and decide that that privilege of the floor form is something that needs to remain in effect and be used. It's very important. And you're taking our voices away. We can come up here and speak on deaf ears according to this letter you sent me, Mr. Scott. Second of all, I got about a dozen calls this weekend of people complaining about a large party at the J.C. Lauber building. Apparently that building is owned by Aaron Perry's uncle or a relative of Aaron Perry. People are concerned because they were in there drinking. Brewworks was there serving up beer. They had a food truck parked inside the building, serving up food, and they were charging a cover charge for people.
30 seconds.
Charging a cover charge to people to come in. There's little kids running around, and people are in there drunk. And people are concerned that, number one, there's no permits pulled properly, that the building's not been inspected properly, and I think you guys need to look into that. There's been several parties hosted there on Fridays and Saturday nights with over 100 people.
Okay, thank you. Next, name and address.
Bill Dunn, 1620 Southwood Avenue, South Bend. I came here tonight to speak in favor of the proposal to build a firehouse at the corner, the southwest corner of Potawatomi Park. I am a member of the board of directors of the River Park Neighborhood Association, and we've spoken out on this issue. Tonight, I simply come to you as a citizen who lives very near the zoo. I'm very close to the zoo, just off Green Lawn, probably 300 yards away from where the firehouse will be located. And I'd like to review some of the reasons that have been put forth in the petition against a firehouse at that location. First, full disclosure, when I was reviewing the petition webpage, I accidentally clicked the sign button, so I'm now officially a signatory. That was not my intent. And I looked for an unsigned button, but apparently there are no do-overs in petition signing. Anyway, according to the petition, locating a firehouse facing Mishawaka Avenue would disrupt park activities ranging from the pavilion to the swimming pool to Kids Kingdom, and whenever a siren goes off for an emergency call. The petition also points out that fire sirens have a noise level of 120 decibels with potential health problems or health impacts on children exposed to that sound intensity. What isn't mentioned is that the most common route today for fire trucks and ambulances when transiting River Park laterally is Mishawaka Avenue, with sirens sounding and horns honking. That's approximately a 25-foot distance off the curb line where the recommendation is to locate the firehouse anyway. What's also not mentioned is that as far as the 120 decibel sound limit or sound level is concerned, the petition overlooks the fact that sound levels in decibels decrease logarithmically with the hearer's distance from the source. So what that boils down to when you eliminate the mathematics, unless you're standing right there by the fire truck, you're not going to hear 120 decibels. And the further you are away from that point, the less the sound intensity will be. That should be considered. Finally, there was consideration about the traffic of staff and students arriving at either John Adams or IUSV.
So you have 15 seconds. Sorry.
And my point there is that regardless of whether that call is originating from the park, fire trucks and ambulances are going to be transiting that area during those times should a call come in.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you.
My name is Ronnie Seward. I'm representing 703 Kentucky Street and 2618 Grace, which is where my mother stayed. I was raised. But my point is, I was raised there. And then on Grace Street, my mother, it was a Polish neighborhood. She was the first black stayed in that block. Her and Miss Borkowski, which is the only two left there. And they've been begging and asking for curbs and sidewalks. And then for the last, I don't know how many years. And then she's 84 years old and Miss Borkowski is too. And then they will not do nothing for her. Miss Borkowski had her purse snatched 3 or 4 years ago. And then she didn't say, well, it was a black guy snatched it. And then she didn't go off into that because her and my mother's best friend. But then they paid their dues.
and then you can go down the streets and streets and streets, and then, they paving them, they doing this, and then, my point is this, and then I stayed on Kentucky, on the corner of Kentucky, right by Harrison School, and then I stayed there 30-some years, and my mother taught me, her and Miss Bukowski, that cut your yard. I said, for what? They don't come next door. And then the point where it is, like they taught me, if you start your lawnmower, and then the next person will. And then over the years, everybody kept that 700 block on Kentucky Street. They kept it excellent. And then we asked for curbs and sidewalk. We can't get them. Then other people on other streets, and then I can name some streets that there's just 2 houses on that they put curbs and sidewalk right on West Side. But then my mother then was 80-something, Miss Bukowski then was 80-something years old. And then they the last 2 people of the Polish neighborhood. And then they just asking for some curb and sidewalk. It's 7 houses on each side. Not for the whole street, for 1 block. And then I'm asking for, on Kentucky Street, 700 block. All the people that's been there, and then they saying, well, our councilman don't do nothing. I talk with him, I blame it on him, but then when me and him talk, and then it really ain't him, because it's just where he get the money from. And then what they tell him. But I'm saying, how many years do you go without having a street paved? How many years do you go without having, like, we asking not for the street, we ask for 1 block. And then everybody else is getting the whole street done. And then when I talk to them, they said they didn't even ask for them. But I'm just saying, so I would like my mother just to see for that 1 block in the 2600 block of Gray Street.
22nd, sir.
2600, okay, a block of Gray Street, and there's 700 block of Kentucky Street. All the people that's been staying there, I'd like to see sidewalks curved, because you go in, and then I don't know what the process is on picking them, but then they deserve something. They've been there, they vote, they pay their tax, they serve their time. So then do something for them, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
The routine, Samuel Brown, 222 East Navarre Street, City of South Bend. I represent a watchdog group called Citizen United for Better Government. I'm going to try to be quick. I want to move on to Friday, get the funeral of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a good neighbor. Stayed in Berry and Spring, came to South Bend quite a bit. I met Muhammad, got a picture with him. He got his haircut at Stevie's Barbershop. Real good neighbor. I did a lot of things in the city of South Bend that a lot of people don't talk about. I want to say thanks to Mr. Heller, Brother Sage, for having some at the Heritage Museum on Washington Street. Real nice presentation honoring Muhammad Ali. And I want to say a silent prayer for his family. Okay, let's move on to we're doing construction up by the north here, by McDonald's. As we go past McDonald's, into the little curve is going back to 75 houses back there, which I live, which is in Kent Scott District. We got cones is knocked down and battered up like football players been tackling on them. And all of those cones got reflector tape on them, but they should have lights. I did construction for 33 and a half years, so I know the game. Now when you go home tonight, Mr. Scott, go down the way, and see all the stuff that's knocked over to your right. Got to go that way every night. I ain't drunk and I ain't blind. There ain't nothing being done about that. Let's move on to the incident that happened in Orlando. The mayor at a prayer vigil, he came out and said for a while he was part of the LGBTQ community. I would have liked to have been there, but I didn't know nothing about the sort. Not only to support our mayor, but also to support the people in Orlando. 43 years ago, Samuel Brown went through the hate. I'm married to a lady of another color. She's white. So I know how this feels, because I know what I went through. And Saturday, this lady was attacked by a white man at the corner of Portage and Cleveland.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Window was busted out of her car. Glass shattered all over her face. My granddaughter was in the car. Just another hate monger. When I got there, the police was assisting my wife. Got one of the police to name the lady that was there assisting her. Glass all over Cleveland. Glass all over Portage. just another hate monger. And it really hurt me that after 43 years, we're going through it. Now the LGBTQ community is going through the same thing.
Same time as
I'm going to get there. But what I'm saying is, the only way this stuff going to change, you can get all the gun laws, you can get all the things you want, you can get everything passed you want, but the only way this going to get done is the good people of America come together and just say enough is enough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Make sure you check the bill.
Yeah, I saw it during the day.
Good evening, Jonathan Anderstrom, Director of Monroe Circle Community Center, 526 West Western Avenue. Two things I'd like to share tonight. The first is regarding the city's new public Wi-Fi network. There are antenna everywhere, which is awesome. Whenever I've been on the network, it's been super fast. I completely agree with it. Citywide free public network, I think it's great, especially since we're on a fiber optic line. That's awesome. However, it is a strong signal, and we have an antenna right outside of our offices downtown. Those two things aren't the issue. The problem is that the public Wi-Fi is on a hopping bandwidth, which destroys any networks that are on a static bandwidth, which is what we were on. So we've had to have our IT guys spend 2 full days at our community center to convert us to a hopping bandwidth. We're still having many issues. South Bend Community Schools adult ed program meets in our building. It was very difficult for them to take their final week of exams. Kept kicking them off the network every 3 minutes. I would recommend that whoever is responsible for the city's IT master plan would conduct an area study to determine adverse effects to businesses and citizens before implementing such a powerful network. If a hopping network has been chosen, which I'm not against a hopping network, it would just be helpful to receive some sort of notification from the city that this is the date it's going into effect, and you'd have to comply with the hopping network yourself. It gives us some time to prep for it. So I'm not against it, I just would love some notification. The second thing is regarding an update to our charter school application. As I mentioned in previous meetings, we did decide to go with the most stringent authorizer in the state of Indiana, the Indiana Charter School Board. We pulled our application the day prior before meeting with them because we had heard they would recommend denial. So the ICSB, the Indiana Charter School Board, measures 3 things. And on those 3 things, they measure 4 different, basically a sliding scale. It's A, B, C, or D, based on your score of what you get in those 3 things. So we scored in evidence of capacity, education plan, and business plan. We scored Bs on all of those, which is approaches the standard. So we are still on track for opening the fall of 2017. Our ground campaign is very strong. We had a board meeting last Thursday. We voted to add more board members. 30 seconds. We're still in the final stages of hiring our school leader, who will then enter a 1-year training program. We began our first advisory council. Our board is flying to Nashville next week for a 4-day training and networking event. We're meeting with citizens, going door to door, written letters of support, audio interviews, video testimonials. We've received overwhelming support from our neighbors in the area. Anyway, if you have any questions on that, I'd love to meet with anybody who has questions or would like to follow that. So my name's on the sign-in sheet. Thank you. Grateful for all of your service as public servants. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Next, name and address, please.
Jean Perrin, 830 South 32nd Street, South Bend, 46615. I'm president of the River Park Neighborhood Association, but I'm here tonight to speak as a private citizen for stating my support for the proposed relocation of the fire station. I support the relocation for several reasons. Due to the realities of the city budget, I believe it makes the most fiscal sense. I also feel the urgency of having a fire station with an ambulance in my neighborhood. Any other location that requires purchasing of property or renovation would only delay the ambulance coming to our neighborhood. 5 years ago, my husband, who was suffering from acute heart and lung issues, had to wait for 20 minutes for an ambulance and had to be resuscitated when an ambulance finally got there from Olive Street. The EMTs and the firefighters who responded were wonderful, but I would hate for anyone else to have to go through that kind of trauma or fear. Also, the proposed relocation is equidistant from both the east and west boundaries of River Park, which I see as a positive thing. Finally, there are side benefits for the proposed relocation. Educational opportunities for fire safety for residents, a positive presence in the park that might mitigate possible criminal issues, as well as opportunities for internship and practical experience for John Adams and IU South Bend students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name and address, please.
Good evening, Council. I'm Huey Scobie, 3415 Riverside Drive. As many of the old councilmen know that I've been fighting for Dr. Martin Luther King Drive for some 8 years now, come this December 13th. The new incumbents may not know the story, but I started out fighting in 07, I believe it was, and I've been fighting ever since. And during my fight, I had an approval from the council, an 8-to-1 vote, to move Dr. King Drive from its present location on to Lincoln Way. And of course, down the line, I believe one of the councilmen asked for an update. And of course, when the councilman asked for an update, the mayor said he did not agree to move it from its present location. He promised to look into it, which was a lie. I got it right here in paper, whereas it was recorded in the clerk's office. Later on, some kind of way the council organized their own street committee. And I understand the council was supposed to select 4 people and the mayor 3. And of course, in doing that and making it short, it was a flunk. They flunked out. So in the meantime, I jumped back out here in the community, which I've worked for 56 years. And within 12 or 14 days, I presented the clerk's office with a petition, had more than 700 signatures, plus another petition that had 17 pastors. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm tired. I'm tired. And I hate for this town to be turned into another Ferguson, Missouri, but that's what it's working for. People are tired, and you get tired of fighting for someone like Dr. King, who contributed so much to this country, the entire world. And then you mean to tell me that someone back in the background is saying there's no street in this town good enough for that darky? I'm from the South, and I know when talking to people just how they're thinking. And so I would just like for the council, of course, to take those
Mr. Scobie, your time is up.
700 petitions and bring into the council and let the community decide one of the 2 streets that's on there.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. Next name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Janet Wachowski, 1117 South 31st Street, and thank you guys all for being here tonight. I would like to ask for a show of hands for those people that are here for protecting Potawatomi Park. Thank you. I know we can't all speak, but there's a lot of people here. I have packets for you, and this is the cover letter for them. The online petition to protect Potawatomi Park has garnered more than 750 signatures from all over the country. Some of these signers have enjoyed the park while growing up and or living in South Bend. Others are friends and relatives of residents and enjoy the park while visiting the city. We are presenting the following responses from the South Bend residents only. Their words represent the breadth and depth of the overall opposition. Please read them. These people deserve understanding. Their reasoned and heartfelt comments should persuade you to look for another option for the fire station. So we have over 750 on the online petition. And then we also have, I'm going to turn these in, this is over 400 from paper petitions that we have gained signatures for. And I would like to just say, and I'm from the River Park Neighborhood Association too, and I love the organization. They're wonderful people, and I commend them for trying to find information. They did a survey over Facebook and the River Park page on Facebook, and they had 72 people respond, and of those, 46 said that they were for the fire station in the park, and 21 said not. But we have over 1,100, signatures here. And in this packet, you will find a packet of comments from the people, and I'm going to read a few of these. As a teacher from John Adams and as a mom with 2 children who regularly go to Potawatomi Park, this is not a good site just due to the prospective noise levels. And this is another one. I live very near to the park and utilize the facilities. I'm also a supporter and donate towards the sensory garden. As a mother of children that use the pool and play in the park, the noise created by a fire station will disrupt and destroy the calm family atmosphere. It says, sorry, I wanted to do this one. I'm signing because my son has autism, so I understand the sensory impact of sirens. Furthermore, in general, a siren is sudden, loud, and disruptive for good reasons, making it incompatible with a greenhouse, zoo, orchestra shell, and children's park. I also believe Mayor Pete is a champion of children and children with special needs. I would think he would greatly support the approval of a sensory garden over a fire station.
You have 20 seconds.
Okay. A park is supposed to be a place of quiet serenity. I live by a fire station, and it's loud all the time, even the engines of the fire trucks. I don't want to hear this when I'm trying to get some peace and quiet. Thank you for your time, and I'm just going to drop this off here if I can.
Thank you. Next name and address, and I'll just let everybody know there's 7 minutes left of privilege to the floor.
I'll be quick. My name is Pam Plays. I live at 1106 Bellevue Avenue in River Park. I too am part of the River Park Neighborhood Association, and unfortunately I'm speaking against the location of the firehouse in Potawatomi Park. I do have a map here that shows the parks in the city, and as you will see, and I'll turn these in as well, I'll talk first. Potawatomi is the only park in River Park. If that land is taken by the firehouse, there's not any other parkland in River Park. I fully agree that the firehouse needs to be moved. I fully agree that it needs an ambulance and the river rescue. I encourage you to look at other spots. Along Mishawaka Avenue, right by the curb where the old Qualex building is, are 3 houses for sale. That could be a longitudinal area. It's right down, you can see the stoplight at Mishawaka and Adams. It is, Mishawaka and Twickenham. It is not that far away. There are 3 houses next to the fire department that may be interested in selling to the city. I believe there's no price to pay for there's any price to pay for green space. It needs to be a part of the project, and please, don't take that space away. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name and address.
Hi, I'm Linda Myers. I live at 2823 Sampson Street, 46614 in South Bend. I'm here to talk about vitamins. Vitamin N is nature. Some doctors are even prescribing nature time for their patients. A nature-rich community for adults and children provides potential benefits. Spending time outdoors, such as reduced symptoms of ADHD, alleviation of anxiety and depression, and decreased obesity and improved immune function. In September of 2012, the Huffington Post published the top 10 reasons why we need nature. Here they are. Number 1, the more high-tech our lives become, the more nature we need. Number 2, humans are hardwired to love and need exposure to the natural world. Number 3, we suffer when we withdraw from nature. Number 4, nature brings our senses alive. Number 5, individuals and business can become nature smart. After just an hour of interacting with nature, memory, performance, and attention span improved by 20%. Number 6, nature heals. Number 7, nature can reduce depression and improve psychological well-being. Nature builds community bonds. Number 9, nature bonds family and friends. Number 10, the future is at stake. The natural world's benefits to our cognition and health will be irrelevant if we continue to destroy the nature around us. but that destruction is assured without a human reconnection to nature. South Bend has been recognized for some remarkable accomplishments. Working together, we can make South Bend an even better place to live, to raise children, to grow and pursue dreams. I've been reminded of the consequence of coincidence this weekend. Every day is another chance to get things right. Let's craft this story so we are proud to share it later. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Name and address, please.
Carol Shoemaker, 1613 Hildreth Street, South Bend, Indiana. I live in River Park. The River Park, just for the record, I too have called an ambulance on my medically fragile husband, and they arrived in a very timely fashion and were very professional. So I have no problem with the fire department or an ambulance. We do need one. However, the park is heavily used by the community in that area. Most of the houses don't have large yards. They're middle-class and low-income people, and they really can't afford a large house with a big yard. When we bought the house in River Park, my husband said, "Why get a big yard? You know, we've got Potawatomi Park." My husband taught at IU for 35, 40 years, so we've lived there for at least 20 years of that time. Childhood obesity is a real problem in our country, and parkland is the solution for most of those people. When we lose parkland, the people who suffer the most are low and middle income families. Large families who can afford a big yard, it doesn't matter to them, but to the people in that area, that's their neighborhood playground. That's their yard for them. Thank you.
Thank you. If we go quickly, we can get the last two in.
My name is Richard Wallace. I live at 937 South 21st Street, and I'm here to voice my opposition to the firehouse being built in the proposed site. That's a passive park which has value in and of itself. South Bend is underrepresented in green space, so I think taking some away that we have currently is short-sighted. And for kids in the neighborhood, that area there to the west of the conservatory is their main access to Kids Kingdom, the pool, the zoo, and that presents a hazard with the fire department there. And I think that there is a concern for the fire trucks coming out there where the students turn into for the parking structure. It's already a pretty congested intersection in the morning when the students are trying to get into school.
Thank you. This will be the last one. This is the end of the session. I'm sorry. Anybody else can email and contact us. Sir, you're the last one. Name and address, please.
Thank you. Bradley Laird, 1232 Longfellow Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. Some of you know me and forgive me my many faults because I'm married to Monica Tetzlaff, who teaches environmental history at IUSD. My reaction to this is that, yes, I want good fire department service, I want the ambulance, but it is a profound failure of imagination historically to devalue our natural spaces. All the things you've heard here said, I believe, both those who are in favor and against, I really agree with all of the comments. But historically, we can't let go of our natural spaces. Once we lose them, we lose something there. Everyone who drives past there sees open green space. That has a positive effect. I was a psychotherapist for 20 years and hired and fired many of them. This is a profound jewel in our community. Historically, we know that when we lose things, they don't come back. Our family just came back from Yellowstone National Park. Half of all of the thermal activity in the world is preserved there because we protected it. Much of the rest is gone in the world. We have this jewel with Rum Village and our other things. When I lived in the near northwest neighborhood, putting up those micro parks just profoundly beautified the area. We must protect this. We can use our imagination better. We can find another way to do this. I will say one last thing. I know that we are constrained by our state government, who has taken away local choice in regard to a whole lot of things, but because of the way that taxes are mishandled, in my point of view, from the state and imposed on us. And I would hope that we could present resistance to the state from the city, along with our other represented people, and try and allow our imaginations to be much more healthy in regard to green space. Thank you.
Thank you. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Good night, everybody.